Hello and welcome to the Irish Mags Show live special. My name is Paul. I'll be your host for today, and joining me are the Wonger to your Fun 88. It is, of course, Alan and Krisho. Say hello, Alan and Krisho.
How's it going, lads? How are we?
All right. Can I be Wonga?
You can be Wonga all you want.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Let me
that.
just write that down. I'll be Wonga. Okay, good.
And Krisho, does that mean you're in the money lending business? Because that could be very useful over the next few days for Alan.
Yeah, I'll bring out some cash with me for Alan. I'm bringing some cash with me.
Alan is actually, it's good. I mean, I notice Alan is wearing an absolute gem of a retro Newcastle United kit that doesn't have either Fun 88 or Wonga on it. It is, of course, McEwen's lager. Alan, can we have a story behind this kit, please? Tell us more. Where'd you get it from?
I love retro kits. I bought this over the last time I was over for the Forest game. The Sheffield United game at the end of the season. I just walked into JD and it was 50 quid. I was like, give me that. It's absolutely deadly looking, so absolutely love it.
I'm trying to think which player I would think of. You know, you connect a kit to a player.
Paul Dalglish.
Rule Fox. Did he wear this?
I would say Rule Fox. Yeah, I think it's before Paul Dalglish's time. I'd go with Rule Fox. I think that's a good shout. Yeah. Serious kit, indeed. Love to see it. Right, folks. Well, welcome in everyone who's here for the live show this week. And, of course, anyone listening back. Hello, listeners. Hope you're all having a good week. We have football coming very soon, and we're going to talk all about it. I suppose, as we record this, lads, we are officially 9 days out from the beginning of our Premier League season. Where the hell did the summer go? Please make some more transfers. There's a lot going on, and we've loads to talk about, including, of course, new signings, one of which was announced today as we are live. We're going to have a chat about some transfer rumours, a big one in particular, as well as a little Irish influence on some Newcastle United transfer activity. We're going to have a chat about leadership groups, and we're going to spend a little time, even though we've done this many times before, lads, we're going to have a chat about our dream signings for that famed, infamous right forward position at Newcastle that we all feel still needs to be filled in this window, as well as the centre-back role, but we'll talk about that. So, listeners, if you're watching on YouTube, on Twitch, get your questions in chat, and of course, make sure to smash the like and subscribe buttons all over the place. But before we get to all those things, lads, I'm a bit concerned about the two of you. I'm not going to lie. I'm worried about you. You know, it is quite late. As we're live, it's 9:05 on a Thursday night. Very, very late for you lads, because I believe you both are supposed to be in bed early, as you have early flights in the morning. Where on earth could you be headed? Are you travelling together? Alan, spit it out.
Of course we are. So the Sella Cup, obviously, it's over the weekend, or the Sella Weekender, should I say. So
Sella Weekender.
Myself and Krisho will be getting the flight in the morning. Head over to the Holy Land, so we can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
Krisho, are you minding Alan, or is Alan minding you on this one?
I think we're both minding each other, and luckily for Al's got the better half coming as well. So
absolutely,
I think we will all be well taken care of.
So Emma's minding the both of you. Okay, this makes more sense.
I bloody hope so. But it's I think it's 7:15, is it, or 7? Yeah, 7:15.
7-ish.
7-ish. We might squeeze a pint in. We might. Yeah, squeeze a pint.
You might.
Yes.
Krisho, you have to squeeze a pint in. Alan has got a fresh trim. He's bought new runners. He's absolutely geared up for the weekend. Alan is just going to be in the form of his life. I was worried that I wouldn't be there to supervise you, but I'm happy to know that you're in Emma's safe hands and she'll be keeping an eye on you. So for anyone, if anyone's headed to the Sella Weekender, I know we have a few Irish mags already over there, including our own Tev, who we hear is causing havoc at an event that is rumored to have Shay Given in attendance. So who knows? We might have Shay Given on next week's pod, unless Tev literally just scares him to death and makes him run out of the building. Yeah, we shall see. Alan, I hear there's a lot of Irish mags though traveling this weekend. High numbers, like for what is obviously a friendly weekend, and it's a friendly tournament. Massive numbers going from the Irish mags.
So there's about 30 people in the group going. But along with those 30 people, I'd say there's about 8 to 10 first games for kids, which I am looking forward to seeing a fair few pictures of. So,
excellent.
Yeah, we're looking like we're going to have a big cohort over, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great weekend. Like, anyone who's around, we will be somewhere. You'll find us, you'll see us somewhere. Just grab one of us, see what the story is, and we'll let you know what's going on. More than likely be the Stack or Rosie's, let's be honest about it. That's where we usually end up. And with Stack opening up this weekend, it looks like it's going to be a good spot as well. So,
yeah, I think, Krisho, you'd be a prime candidate to be one of the first Irish mags to test out the Stack's abilities in terms of serving pints, charging for pints, and handling certain types of individuals who are fond of said points.
Yeah, I wonder, do you have to hand in? Do you have to show ID? I'm sure
You definitely don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean in terms of like, thanks, Paul, but I don't mean in terms of
You're
age.
welcome. You're welcome.
You have to show ID, right? You would, right, to get in there. No,
I'd assume so.
Not sure.
that's a very. You're like, I'm thinking, what's that got to do with anything, Christian? But Tev released on the group. We have a separate group set up, so it's going to be good, just in case anyone's concerned about any trouble that might be over at the weekend, where we can all just chat to each other, find out where we are. And he also did a wonderful thing where he provided a survival guide of all the pubs, how they're all linked up in Newcastle, where we're going to be. So everybody, we're going to print that out and bring it with us on PDF. It's on PDF, but we'll print it out and hand it out to wherever we meet, so that everyone kind of knows how to get in and around and kind of avoid the Grays Monument area, but just for the time being on Saturday. But it's going to be it's going to be such a good crack, honestly. Such a good crack. I can't wait. Honestly, I really can't wait. I'm going to be like, it's like Christmas morning, getting the chance to get back over to Newcastle again. I love it.
I am absolutely green with envy. The fear of missing out that I have going on here, lads, is absolutely through the roof. It's the one weekend I couldn't go. I am going the following weekend. I'm going to make the Southampton game, which I'm really looking forward to. We'll talk about that in a while. But it looks like it's going to be a great weekend. We have 2 games. Well, there's also a ladies' game. The NUFC ladies are playing. But the men's team, are going to be playing against Girona and Brest of Spain and France, respectively. Both, I believe, have reached the Champions League this year. We haven't. Enough said about that. But decent opposition, I would say, a week before a Premier League game. Fingers crossed nobody picks up any injuries, including the 2 of you lads travelling, of course. And just, I suppose, on a similar note, yeah, we have heard all this talk about different events or different protests and crazy things happening, obviously, over in the UK at the moment. Hopefully everyone travels safe, of course, stick together, stay in groups. And as Christian said, there's a WhatsApp group specifically for Irish Mags travelling. We have the itinerary laid out. And make the most of it, because it looks like it's going to be a hell of a weekend. And one other piece of Irish Mags news, Alan, connected to the Sella Weekender. This is a debut weekend for the exclusive, now folks, let me repeat that, exclusive Irish Mags member discount card, which if you are a holder of said card, you can avail of discounts in not 1, not 2, but as much as 8 different locations, if not more. Tev probably has a few more added since he got there. Locations, pubs, restaurants, all around the city, where you can get an exclusive Irish Mags discount if you're holding the card. More details are over on the irishmags.com website, our new website, which you should always be keeping an eye on. And Alan, I hear I hear you're one of the people who's in charge of the cards, and I don't know how you get put in charge of things. That money is just going to rest in your account for the weekend,
Yes.
I guess.
Absolutely. So yeah, we will have a stack of cards on us that if at any stage you would like to become a member of the Irish Mags, it's for the discount codes. Come up to us, they're a tenner, and away you go. The only specification with the cards is there's a QR code in the back that has all the pubs and available restaurants that have the discounts on them. But the only thing is it's 1 discount per card. So if you go in with a group of 6, there has to be 6 cards, otherwise one person is getting the discount, not everybody in the group. So
yes,
very, very
weird.
And
look, we were chatting about this. Obviously, we've put a little fee on it. It's all going into the Irish Mags Community Fund. It all gets reinvested back into the Irish Mags expenses on all the things we do and all our activities and events. But a big shout out to Tev and Scott, who've been kind of the masterminds behind this in terms of sourcing the discounts, connecting it all together, and getting it up on the website. The thing we've kind of looked at it is, if you have a discount card that you've spent €10 on, you will make that €10 back in this weekend in a day, pretty much.
Absolutely.
And it's there for the season, and we're going to be adding more and more locations to it as well, because we're in talks with a lot of different people and a lot of different places. So it's worth it, because we all know, Krisho knows more than anyone. Going out and having a few drinks and a bit of food, it's not cheap these days, Krisho.
No, it's
so you'll have to keep an eye on Alan and with all the watts of cash that he has.
Just worried that if we just stick to the 8, 9, 10 places we can use the discount card, we'd be locked by 3 p.m. It'd be like, what time is the match on? Doesn't matter. But the Irish Townside Centre is the one that's very excited about. When I I don't know what age I was. Just a long time ago, let's put it this way. I went into the Irish Townside Centre. It was kind of maybe the 5th time I'd ever been to St. James's Park. And it has a Rydell atmosphere in there, and it's nice to have this accent when you go in there. It was the day, actually, I won 45-1. I put £2 on the result, and the first scorer was Demba Ba. I won 90 quid. It paid for the whole day. But spent it mostly in the Irish Tyneside Centre, but it's excellent that the discount card is actually applicable to the Irish Tyneside Centre, because it'll be nice to pop in and generate some kind of, because I think, Al, you were saying before, some of the old Irish Mags group years and years and years ago used to go in there. So it's nice that if we can regenerate it with the new Irish Mags group.
Yeah, the old crew, as they like to call themselves, did all frequent the Irish Centre before games, and they are trying to get us to be the next generation of lunatics on the sticky floor. So
love it.
A path well trodden.
Yes.
For sure. As is Dublin Airport in the morning, and as is the flight to Newcastle. I know that it looks like it's going to be an unbelievable weekend, and I hope you all have a blast. I will be very jealous. And the one thing I'm going to shout out to all the listeners who are listening back, and hopefully some of you are listening back as you're traveling as well. You can download this obviously on Spotify or on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. Take as many photos if you can. We've heard about those young Irish Mags going to their first game. Photos, videos. We're going to have a gallery up on the website of the Sella Weekender. Take all those photos, get them, just hang on to them, and we'll be putting a call out for them in the group. And obviously we have that separate Sella Weekender group as well. The more photos, the better, as long as they're not all of Chris Show.
Actually, you know what? I actually have a first as well. I'm a Gallagate virgin, so this is my first time in the Gallagate. So for the 2 days, so I'm over the moon. As soon as they were released, straight on, Gallagate, boom. Al's just like there, Tab's like there. We're pretty much in the same section, which is ace. So yeah, Gallagate, can't believe it. I'm so Stack up to the Gallagate. Best ever, best Friday night ever.
Alan, does he know about the stairs?
He'll soon find out, won't he?
There's a lot of steps, Chris. There's a lot of steps. Make sure you've got your Fitbit on, because you're going to be getting your steps in on Saturday.
Okay.
For sure. Lovely stuff, guys. Well, look, as I said, safe travels, everyone, and hope it turns out to be a great weekend. I hope we get to see, sometimes with friendlies, you don't know what to expect, and sometimes you can write them off, especially if we lose like we did in Japan, and you kind of go, it's just a friendly. It's nice to get the run out. Hopefully this is like some proper football being played. Get to see a couple of the new signings, the small handful of new signings that we have. And yeah, hopefully there'll be a few players that jump out that we'll talk about next week who look sharp, right? The likes of Isak. We might actually see Anthony Gordon, even Kieran Trippier back as well. As we know, Bruno just came back. So it'll be interesting to see who's looking sharp and who we feel is looking ready for the new season. Because next week, we have a very special guest joining us for the Irish Mags show as we preview next season, and we're going to be doing our pre-season predictions, which means, lads, you're going to get a little insight into who's ready before you do your predictions, and you might share that with me before we hit the record button.
Yeah.
Right. Please, pretty please. Right, as I said, get your questions in chat. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, starting with, I suppose, news that has emerged today, Alan, of a man I'm reliably informed doesn't like to go by the name William. It is Will. Let me get this right. Will Osula. We'd hate to pronounce something wrong. Irish lads would never pronounce anything wrong.
No.
And no one would ever pronounce Irish names wrong either. Will Osula, who is signed from Sheffield United, is a striker. Although I did see a tweet saying, get ready for him to be the next Joe Linton reincarnated, as Eddie Howe turns him into the best box-to-box midfielder in the world. But from what I've seen, obviously, he had limited Premier League minutes last season with Sheffield United in a not great team. Eddie Howe was quoted today saying they've been watching his career for a few years. I think Jason Tyndall worked with him before when he was at Sheffield United. So it's nice to know that this isn't just a random signing. I think a lot of people were of the mindset that if Callum Wilson is staying, which it looks like he is, that we want to pick up someone who's kind of okay with being, let's say, arguably third to second choice. Likely be second if Wilson keeps getting injured.
Yeah, let's be honest.
But more importantly, a player that we can mould to be, making an impact on games. It is a 90-minute game now, but it's no more about starting 11. We talk about starters and finishers and the impact of the bench. Hopefully we'll actually see him get some minutes. You might even see him during the Sella Weekender. Looks like, Alan, 10 million plus 5 potentially in add-ons. And again, I've had a quick look at the player. He's a big unit. I think he's 6'3", 6'4".
6'4", yeah.
I'm not a tall man, so that's very tall. And one of the things I was looking at is a friend of the show, Kev Lawson. A lot of our listeners will be aware of Kev Lawson. If you're not, check him out on Twitter. It's @edit_Kev. Kev works for StatsBomb, who we recently had the founder of StatsBomb, Ted Knutson, on the show. But Kev has put together a lovely thread about Osula, with a load of stats and various information. But just to call out a couple of things, Alan, that we spotted there, like it says he's got really good speed and strength, shoots off either foot, really good kind of technical ability, strong on the ball, can be an aerial threat. And when you've seen some of the clips, I'd imagine, Alan, you've watched a few clips.
Oh, yeah.
What have you kind of observed? Does it match up with Kev's thread that we'll include in the description?
Oh yeah, he just looks like a big, quick bastard. The best way to describe him. He is a monster. Seen him score. Like, there was one goal he scored for the Sheffield United under 21s or whatever it's called now. Took the ball down about 25 yards out, opened his body and curled the thing into the top corner, and you're going, Jesus, I wasn't expecting that. He just looks like he has everything. Now, obviously, he's very raw. He's very young. But listen, if you wanted to give anyone a young player to mould, you're going to give it to Eddie Howe and you're going to say, do what you want with him. And he looks like he has an awful lot of potential, and he can play off the left and right wing as well. He can play anywhere across that front three. So wouldn't be a bad shout to get him in. I think it's going to be a good signing.
Yeah, absolutely. He played in the FA Cup for Sheffield United. Okay, he did play. He did come on in substitute appearances for Sheffield United in the Premier League. But in the FA Cup, he had 2 appearances in the FA Cup and he scored 3 goals. And the 3 goals he got were really tidy. You know, he's a really kind of dangerous player. It's okay, Chris.
Sorry, Chris. I just had to throw you off with this comment from Andy about being a virgin at the Gallowgate. I had to throw it up there.
Yeah. I just saw Chris Bird. Yeah, but he appearances 2 and 3 goals, and like I said, these finishes were tidy. For such a tall, kind of lanky looking fella, he's a powerful guy because he's actually kind of skinny, and you can see. I was always a bit worried about Isaac getting a right clatter in the Premier League and getting injured for 6 months. But this chap has a bit of meat on him. I'm not saying he's like a big beast or anything, but he's a big fella. He's a muscly physique, so. He just looks like they've gone out again. They've really assessed it over 3 years, and they've bought potential again. But they know what they're doing with this. I think Eddie Howe could turn this guy into a bloody £70 million player in 2 years' time.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting is we've seen Eddie Howe work with a few different, young and older players, right? He's done really, really good coaching. Alan Moran went through his kind of purple patch, Fabian Scher, even Longstaff. When Eddie Howe works with specific players, he has this track record of developing them. We've not really seen it. Obviously, Isaac is there under Eddie Howe for the last couple of years, but Isaac is a superstar, right? Eddie Howe is just making him better, obviously. But we haven't really seen Eddie take on a young striker, let's say, and work on that aspect, And I think it's a good bonus as well, Alan, that having a player like this in terms of, or in times of crisis where we've not had Isaac or Wilson and we've had to drag Anthony Gordon up and almost lose what Anthony Gordon offers on that left. It's nice to think that you could bring in someone like Osula in whatever game it is needed and still kind of be able to have the luxury of, whether it's Gordon or Barnes on the left, where they perform at their best, without doubt.
When Gordon plays up top, look, Gordon can play up top, but he doesn't play up top. He plays on the wing for a reason. He's a much more dangerous winger than he is a striker. So I always hated seeing Gordon being end up top. You're just going, it's losing his threat on the wings. So having someone who's young and looks like he's willing to run, willing to do everything we want to do, it just looks like a no-brainer of a signing for us, really. So really looking forward to it, and hopefully he does get some game time now this weekend and we get to see what he's like. He did come on for Sheffield United against us when we beat them 5-1 in the game that I was at. Now, didn't stand out to me by any stretch, but did come on. Seemed to get Dan Burn a bit of a run around that day as well. So fair few players done that last year, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we've seen with the likes of, I mean, a lot of people I would imagine weren't too aware of this player, right? Obviously being a relative backup player at Sheffield United. We've seen what happened with Minta. Is the worst case scenario in this that maybe there's a player there that, if he doesn't make the grade at Newcastle, obviously, because we're a team on the up and there's money to be spent, there's resale value there you'd expect for a player that young with that much potential. But we don't want to go down that far, right? We don't want to repeat. We'd love to see him succeed at Newcastle, and as we said, he can only learn under Eddie Howe, but equally he can only learn under Callum Wilson, and of course Isaac, and spending time on the training pitch with these guys. Full faith that he'll actually turn into a quality player. So fingers crossed indeed.
Another one that we need just keep an eye out, right? Just while we're talking about young guys with potential, and the fact that you mentioned Minta, and I know a lot of the people who watch our show and our Schmags and right across the board, all the Geordie fans were obviously disappointed that Minta went, and then he's kind of walking around defenders for Brighton, scoring tap-ins. But that Sanusi guy, I think Eddie Howe's going to hang on to him, that young lad, and I think he's going to play. I think probably start one of the games in the Sela Cup. And if anyone has never heard of him or never seen him, this guy is tricky. and he's swift and he's stylish. This guy is a really stylish player.
Are you talking about me, Chris? No. Oh, sorry.
No.
Sorry, you're back on Sanusi. Yeah, okay.
yeah, Sanusi. Yeah. That's the later section, Paul. But no, that's the after hours section. But no, this is the Sanusi guy. So don't be worried about anybody listening. Don't be worried about Minter going. We've got Sanusi. He could be just as good or even better than Minter. So the
only problem with Sanusi though is he's another left winger. If he was a right winger, I genuinely think he would have been kept in the squad this year and gone. Maybe we throw him in at the deep end and see how he does. The fact he's a left winger, it's not a bad thing, if you know what I mean, to have a good left winger coming through. But if he was a right winger, I think this year could have been his year. But you never know.
Well, we're going to talk about that right wing position a little bit later in the show, and that's where we'll be hoping to hear from our chat as well from the listeners, because it's a role we all know, we all hope and expect to be filled, and we're going to chat about who we hope will potentially be coming in and who's rumoured as well at the same time. Right, okay, well, we wish Will Osula the best. We welcome him to Newcastle United. And lads, I'll be interested to hear what you come back with next week. Hopefully you'll have seen him take to the pitch, get some minutes in, maybe even score a goal. You just never know, and we'll hope for the best. Right, lads.
Yeah.
Let's crack on, shall we? By the way, I just wanted to shout out again Kev Lawson's thread, guys. Check it out on X, on Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Alan likes to call it Twix sometimes. There's a really good thread by Kev Lawson on his Twitter. You'll find it, and it just breaks down it. For a player you don't know about, this is the best way to go and actually get a feel for how good he is and how much potential he has. Right, Krisha, we're going to stick with transfer rumours because, as we all know, you know, we know that you're mobile. Like, you're like Fabrizio Romano. It's hopping all day, full time, plugged in. You know, battery doesn't last long. It's a Nokia 3210. He plays Snake on it in between phone calls.
3410. Thanks.
Steve Nixon gets in touch with you quite often, as do the rest of them. But I suppose we have to start with the big name that's been doing the rounds. And lads, it's probably been a week now already. It kind of just popped up and it's grown momentum and it's kind of gone a bit of a roller coaster. Still no sign of any fee being agreed, but that player is, of course, Mark Guehi of Crystal Palace. And most of us will have seen in the Euros, arguably England's best player, arguably one of the best centre-backs in the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Alan, Christian, like, we're buzzing for this to get this over the line. England international, an ex-Chelsea player would make it even more tasty. What are we saying about Mark Guehi? What's the latest news, I suppose, most importantly?
If Bottom was a Rolls Royce, Guehi is like a Porsche 911. This guy is legit. The thing is, look, we wanted Dougie Freedman, and now we know why, because he's a right good negotiator. But at least we've got Paul Mitchell on our side. But essentially, look, listen, Dougie Freedman is not going to basically just go, all right, Newcastle, no worries. Come on down. Yeah, 60 million. Thanks a lot, Grant. I think what we've gone in with, and again, like you said, Paul, I'm always on with Steve Nixon. I'm always over in Adam Miron's house having barbecues. I'm a close friend of Jeff Hendrick. But I don't go on about it on Twitter because I don't want Keith Downey picking on me. But this is the case here. I think we've gone down with 55 plus 5, right? Or something like that, something very similar to that. That's just it. Look, here's what we've got. I think we can't, the way I see it, I think it's going to be 60 plus 5. So 65 million, but the 5 million are based off a couple of things. I think he would get in. I don't think he'd play the first game of the season. Maybe he would. But the fact that on Twitter, Crystal Palace put up a photograph of welcoming him back to training. But I mean, that, like somebody had mentioned before, Al, I don't know whether you said this. I think Tino went to train, and then we signed him like a week later or something like that. So he's a professional footballer. He has to go back to work. So yeah, but I still think next 4 or 5 days, you might be looking at an extortionately exclusive mental move, like club record move for a defender. 65 million.
Alan, that's the question I was going to put to you, Alan, and Travis in the chat here has me beaten to it. If it does go as far as 65 million pounds, right, which is arguably 75 million euros, who knows these days, is that pushing the boat out when we need a right winger? Or let me put it this way, Alan, does it represent value for money for a player like Mark Guehi? Let's call it 60 million pounds ish.
No, we scored 105 goals over the course of the season last year, and our problem was keeping clean sheets. So as much as it pains me we do 150%, we need a new right winger. But if we could continue to score the goals we did last season with the attacking line we did have last season, and add an incredible amount of defensive ability again on top of what we already have, we only finished 8 points behind Villa. We had an awful run throughout that season. 3 wins and we got Champions League.
Yeah.
Does argue, like, Guehi was arguably England's best defender in tournament just gone. Like, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that if we had him last year playing to the ability that he has, we would have easily picked them points up. I think the 65 million, get him in, it's going to be a massive deal for us. It's going to be that statement signing that, like, he was linked to Liverpool, he was linked to going back to Chelsea, he's linked to massive clubs, and it's a bit of a coup for us to get him. So get him right in. So it's going to be a great deal for us, I hope.
Yeah, it is a hell of a lot of money, right? And it's the kind of money you normally associate with an attacking player, right? Unless you're Man United signing Harry Maguire, but again, we don't go down that road. It's kind of almost too much of an opportunity to let pass by if the player is interested. You know, we have to be realistic. We're not a Champions League club. We don't have European football, right? So the targets we would like, or we are interested in, and we've talked about a lot of these names over the last few weeks. You know, whether it's Todibo or whoever, you know, these are players that are looking for European football. If Guehi's interested, you know, he's 24, he's got his best years are way ahead of him, and he's got buckets of experience. He's come through an exceptional academy. I don't know, Christian, if you were offered, you know, if I gave you a sheet of paper to sign the bottom line to approve the funds and make the deal, would you make it at 65 million pounds? Thank God Christian's not in charge of this, by the way.
Yeah. Hang on, I'll get my pen out, my beautiful silver pen. Yes. No, I would have signed this off like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, go ahead and get him. And even if it goes to 70, even if it's 65 plus 5, because Crystal Palace need an extra 5 million because they're going to get relegated probably, give it to them, because we're on the up and we're in the top 7 now, and we're well in third or fourth of that top 7. So yeah, go and get him. And about the right wing thing, Nico Gonzalez is 20 million euros. Am I wrong? I think we can get him for 20 million euros.
Maybe, I think he's I'd say he's a bit more.
I think
Chiesa now is the one that was lower. Yeah.
If we sell Miggy, we'll get 25 million from him. We'll still have a little bit of money left over. We can use that to get the right wing.
Gonzalez is going to Juve as well by the looks of things, so that's off the cards.
Crap. Okay.
Heard that today, and that's another of the names on our list actually. Okay, sure. Look, I suppose time will tell, but I'm on the side of, you know, yes, you know, Alan made a very good point. We scored a lot of goals last year with a lot of players missing. You know, we haven't seen Harvey Barnes firing on all cylinders. Isak, you'd argue we saw about 60-70% of him last season firing on all cylinders. I just feel a player like this, you're looking at, you know, we know Eddie Howe wants to look at the future. That's where Livermento came in. That's where Lewis Hall was brought in. This is a player that could be a centre-back for us, arguably for the next 7 seasons. And it's not often you get a player for that. Ryan is making a great point here. 6 years at least, it's only 10 million a year. That's a steal. And it is. It absolutely is, you know.
100%.
And, yeah, it would be hard to turn it down. And I think one of the things is, I'm just reading Travis's comment here. Palace apparently are linked with a player called Maxence Lacroix, who's, I think, Wolfsburg. Another name that has also been linked with us, along with, as we said, Todibo, Simican, who's at Leipzig. You know, that's also a sign that maybe they're accepting that Guehi wants to leave. And I think, you know, whatever about the fee not being agreed yet, it does seem like Guehi is very interested in this. And it helps that he's mates with Anthony Gordon, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice one as well. Okay, let's see what happens. A lot of eyes on this one in the Irish Mags chat. From an ITK perspective, we look forward to seeing the outcome, but fingers crossed it gets done. And lads, I'd love to see him walking out at halftime in one of those Stella friendlies. That's tight.
It's going to be amazing.
Might not be time. Right, I want to move on to another name that was linked today, Alan. Literally today is the first time I'd seen this now. I don't know if you'd seen it earlier, or I don't know if Chris heard it when he was at someone's barbecue over the summer over in Newcastle. Reece Nelson of Arsenal, which is an interesting one. Now, Reece Nelson, you could argue he did burst on the scene at one point for Arsenal, as did a lot of their youth players, you know, the likes, obviously Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, like serious academy there again. Spent some time on loan. I think he played in Germany, has been back at the club, scored a couple of goals last season, a couple of important goals as well. Plays on the right. I don't know, Alan, your reaction when I said his name, it doesn't fill you with enthusiasm?
Not that it doesn't fill me with enthusiasm. It was just a lazy link from an Arsenal ITK account. So I was just like, okay, that's not happening. It's, if we were going out to sign someone like that, just don't think it would be Reece Nelson. We'd go foreign if we had to and get someone mad for 20 million anyway. Because let's be honest, if Willock costs us 25 million, this Nelson's going to cost us 30, 35, if not more, because Arsenal will not want to sell to us anyway. So it's just a lazy thing because he's English and Eddie Howe likes to buy English players. So can't see that one happening, to be honest with you.
It's an easy one. I mean, if we are going to go and spend 65 million on Guehi, then, maybe we only have 25, 30 million available, right? So what can you get for 25, 30 million in that role, in that position? It's really tricky. And again, as I said, we're going to focus on that position in a while. Usually what I feel like when you see a name like that, a similar name is going to pop up as the real one. It's really hard to know. But like you said, do Arsenal want to sell him to us? I'm not sure. They probably don't see us as a rival technically, but they don't like playing us. We love playing them at home in particular. So I suppose time will tell. Krisho, we mentioned Nico Gonzalez, but have you heard any other names in that area or any other?
I have. What's you know me with surnames, guys. Madueke. Is it
Madueke?
Madueke. I heard a lot of stuff coming through. I did text Steve Nixon about it. He hasn't got back to me yet, but it looks like that might be coming in as a Lewis Hall deal. A Lewis Hall deal where it's essentially we'll loan him in for the season. He plays a certain amount of appearances. We'll give them X amount of money. I don't know how much that would be, but seeing as Chelsea have 85 first team players, I'm sure that they can. They'd like to get him off the wage bill at least. But I'm not sure about this guy. I've seen him argue over penalties. He has a real petulant attitude about him. I don't know whether he'd fit in with our gang. Seeing as they're all, close pals. But he's talented, and we can get him in on the cheap. So that might be something to keep an eye on, because I think Eddie Howe seems to like this guy. He keeps getting mentioned all the time. So there you go.
He's an impact player. I mean, he even in that Chelsea team when he did play, he was playing quite well for them. He was kind of standing out in amongst kind of an average performing team for a lot of last season. They did finish above us, but that was, I suppose, a last minute run to get ahead of us. I used to really like that player. He was playing in, I want to say PSV, and I know Alan will keep me honest if it is PSV.
It was. And
he was outstanding. And my favourite player is also playing at PSV, so I'm a fan of that part of the world when it comes to football. Again, is that an isolated moment of petulance in the heat of the moment? Potentially. I'm sure that's something Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall would look into, as well as the recruitment team. I wouldn't be against it, because he has shown ability, quality, potential throughout his career, and he's playing in the Premier League and shown what he's able to do. So, I wouldn't be totally against it. We already mentioned Nico Gonzalez, Alan. You've given us an update there that it looks like he's heading to Juventus.
Looks like he's going to be Chiesa's replacement.
Okay.
Nobody asked about Chiesa. That's not happening. There's a reason that nobody will buy him for 15 million euro. I don't know what it is now. He must just be an awful apple in that cart, if you know what I mean. It's just there's a reason he's going for 15 million. It's not happening. He'll want Champions League, or he'll want Europe at the very minimum. If he doesn't have Europe, he'll want the big pile of money that we're not going to give him. So that's not happening.
Yeah. I mean,
it feels like it's unlikely. Yeah.
I mean, Nico Gonzalez might go for £30 million. 30 million pounds. I don't think we're going to spend 30 million pounds on a right winger, unless obviously we're not going to buy anybody in January and we're going to plan for the future. The only other person, and I think that, like Paul, you're going to bring it up later about dream signings, but look, I'll just throw it in here. Rafinha, Barcelona need to sell. I think he'd be magnificent with us. He really will be top notch. He'd fit in real well. Beautiful touch coming on the inside. He can go on the outside. He's tricky. He's young, and he's a clearly ambitious player. But Barcelona need to sell. That might be one where we loan him in and pay a fee at the end of the season based on appearances. But that would be another one for right wing. It'd be amazing, Rafinha.
Yeah, I think it's an easy one to connect the dots on, because he played in the Premier League. I like the idea of signing a player with a point to prove. Do you know, that a player with a bit of an edge, or really wants to come in and actually take a run at it. And whoever that player that comes in is, like, that spot is there. Do you know, you couldn't really say that, like, even if Guehi comes in, right? Eddie Howe loves Fabian Schär, right? Botman has to come back. Do you know, Lloyd Kelly's after coming in there, another player Eddie Howe knows well. The right wing role you'd feel is there for the taking, do you know? But yeah, the money will talk, as the Clan lad says here in the YouTube comments. And get your questions and comments in, folks. 250k a week. I reckon our max is probably considerably less than that. I think we're currently
120.
The likes of Bruno and Isaac are 120 to 150, something like that. So
yeah,
we do have to be realistic in that sense. So time will tell. We'd all love to see a player come in there. I mean, fair play to Jacob Murphy. At least he's going out in pre-season and saying, right, well, I'm gonna show that, you know, if we don't bring in a signing, I'm here. And he wants to take on whoever it is, whether it's Miggy or whether Gordon ends up being switched to the right. So I guess we'll see. Krisha, you threw in one.
Oh, and Paul has left the building.
Paul has disappeared. I think if you say my name 7 or 8 times, it disappears. He disappears. It's like Beetlejuice saying it 3 times.
No idea what happened there. In front of my eyes, I just vanished. One of you kicked me out. I don't know. Is that what you want? You want to get rid of me? Go to ask Krisha a question, and he boots me from the room.
I was worried about the question.
Krisha,
yeah,
you should be. I'm not sure on this signing or this rumor. This is a player who gets linked with everybody because he's available on a free transfer. Adrien Rabiot, also Juventus, has left Juventus. That is a name that you seem to have picked up on in some party.
Again, this just keeps coming out. Now, I know Miggy's wife did mention it last week, but I was like, I don't want to talk to her about it. I don't know where Miggy was. He headed off somewhere. Instead of turning left, he turned right and got lost in his housing estate. But Rabiot is something that still keeps coming up, but 240,000 quid a week wages, we're just not going to pay that. We're just not going to pay that unless he takes a considerable pay drop. He won't be coming to us anyway. But it's still, that name just keeps coming up. Maybe it's just the media just shopping him about, but it's still a name that, again, you're kind of looking at me thinking, well, where would he fit in? I mean, we have our midfielders. We've got 6 good midfielders. We don't need Rabiot, but I think he's 29. It doesn't really fit the age profile either, but if we could get in and get a steal on him and maybe he could accept, 100 grand a week, bring him in by all means. But I don't know if he can come with us without European football.
This is a bit of a weird one, but I remember when he was linked to Man United, it turns out that his mother is his agent and she is seemingly an absolute demon to work with. I just can't see us even entering the question and going, would you chance it? Because you want a big old bag of money like the rest of them will, and it's just not going to happen. So, yeah.
That's fair. Right, just to wrap up okay, that's probably most of the rumours I think that are realistic at this current moment in time. Again, I think next week is going to be madness as the first league game comes up, and then obviously in 3 weeks' time we'll be coming to the end of the transfer window, and we'll be having one hell of a transfer special as we get to the end of that. 1 or 2 more names I wanted to put out there, lads, because we are the Irish Mags, and I love this, lads. We're seeing a few more Irish names popping up around the place with regard to Newcastle, mainly the academy, or I suppose the under-18s team. So as we know, we already have Alex Murphy on the books. We have Cathal Heffernan. That's how you pronounce it, folks. Cathal Heffernan on the books. Rhys Byrne, a goalkeeper, also on the books. It looks like, we have completed the signing of Rory Finneran, who's an incredibly talented midfielder who was playing for Blackburn, has played at all underage levels, up to under-17s for Ireland, I think, has captained that side. We have a very good article on the website, theirishmags.com. I say very good because I wrote it. But I did some research on this fella's career to date, with what I could find. Looks exceptionally promising, and apparently a host of clubs are trying to get his signature over the line. So looks great that we've got him over. And then the other one, lads, and this puts a smile on my face. Not only did Alex Murphy move from Galway United, which would be the closest football club to me, Kyle Fitzgerald is a player who I've actually seen play down at the pitch, which is not that far from where I live. Is another name linked from Galway United to the Newcastle Academy. I don't know if we've got any confirmation if it's been done, but it's heavily, heavily rumoured, Alan, right?
So seemingly we cannot sign him until January, but if you had have seen the videos coming out of the Japan tour, the Newcastle under-16s went as well, and they played a match, and one Kyle Fitzgerald happened to be playing for the Newcastle under-16s in that game. So I'd be willing to go out on a limb and say that's all but signed, sealed and delivered if he's over playing games already, but he can't officially sign for us until January when he turns 17, I think.
That's a Brexit rule.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we love to see it here, especially from an Irish Mags perspective. We're work in progress here to see if we can get access to some of these guys and have a chat with them because, again, obviously from an Irish perspective, really exciting. And yeah, I look forward to a time, maybe it's a dreamland, that Ireland are qualifying for tournaments and we have Newcastle players playing for Ireland at some point in the future. But that might be wishful thinking, boys. Okay, I want to move quickly on to that right forward position. Now, Krisho's already given his one away, Alan.
Yeah.
Krisho follows the rules and he reads instructions.
I'm a bit premature.
A bit premature. Wouldn't be like you. Alan, keep an eye on
Easy now. Easy now.
If Rafinha is your preferred choice, Krisho, for that right wing position, right? And again, with the fees is a different question altogether. Alan, is there anyone at the top of your list, whether it's rumoured or whether it's dream thinking? We've obviously talked about this. It's probably evolved over the last few weeks and months as well.
It absolutely has. And this is a special shout out to Andy Mack and the Irish Mags. He knows exactly who's coming out of my mouth right now. It's Kubo of Real Sociedad. He looks like an absolute baller.
Nah.
The Japanese Gordon, absolutely. Absolutely. He is unbelievable. That's who I want. Very unlikely. Don't even think we're linked to him, even remotely, but that's who I want. Not going to happen, though.
I mean, he's still where he is, right? He's still at Sociedad, who I think maybe have got Champions League football. They're a really good side. But it seems like a player that a lot of clubs have looked at, and it doesn't seem that a move has materialised for him. So, again, you never know. It would be like there's Dave in with the Kubo. A player we've talked about, a player we've seen, very exciting prospect as well. I was having to think about this. Obviously, I've harped on about Johan Bakayoko in the past, who's, as I said, playing for PSV. Doesn't seem to be any noise, which sometimes is a good thing, sometimes it's not so much a good thing. So I kind of had my head a bit fried. I still think in the back of my mind, there's something about Pedro Neto, lads. Now, whether he's my dream signing or not, I don't know, because he's quite injury prone. But I just go back to when he played against us. Now, he did get injured against us, but he absolutely tore us apart for Wolves. And I've seen him tear other teams apart. And something in the back of my mind, City were linked to them recently. I don't buy that at all. It's a signing I think is realistic for us in terms of fee and in terms of availability and the player interest. But
he did say himself that he's staying at Wolves for one more season.
That means nothing, Alan, as you know.
He told Al, though. He told him directly. He told Alan directly.
And I'd be interested to hear from the listeners as well. Any names? I did see the Clon lad actually mentioned he'd prefer Elanga over Reece Nelson. Elanga's another interesting one. I suppose if there's any other names, guys, get them into the chat. We need to sign in this position, lads. I think if we have any realistic kind of ambition or in terms of stepping up quality, we absolutely need a signing here. Unless, Krisho, it's a case that we're going to come into, whether it's Sella or whether it's opening game of the season, is there a chance that we see Harvey Barnes on the left and Anthony Gordon on the right?
No.
That could be also an option.
I just can't see that. I think we've discussed this before, and I know people keep coming in with Mbeumo, but that's a very, very pricey deal for him. I think, I thought Miggy was on the way out. Okay, I'll miss out on the barbecues, but I don't think he is on the way out. I really don't believe that that's signed, sealed, and delivered. I thought it was, but I think we're gonna see Miggy on the right wing tomorrow at the Sella Cup. So Miggy's going to be maybe Miggy and Murphy unless something out of this world happens in the last 2 weeks.
There's still 3 weeks left in the window. There's no time to panic yet. We're working away. We're working quietly. We don't work in the media. We're not doing it how Man Red do it or how Chelsea are doing it. Going about our business quietly. We're doing what we need to do. Trust the process, as they say. It'll be all right.
Trust the process. Enjoy the pints. Enjoy the staff bar, and enjoy the Sella Weekender. And let's see what happens next week. That's where you are, Alan, right?
Yeah, be grand.
I suppose it is fair. It's easy to get hung up on it, right? And we're all desperate to see a signing come in. I still feel we will. I think, we've been so quiet up to now. We've got recruitment teams there. I see Mbeumo's name is going around the chat there. That guy Gruda that was mentioned as well. I've seen some clips of him. David's coming in with that. So there has to be something in the pipeline here. I'd be amazed if there isn't, because let's face it might be a bit of a failure of a window if we don't get a player in that role. But fingers crossed that we do. Okay, that's our dream right forwards. A lot of names going around there. Let's see what happens next week, and we'll circle back on it to see if any of us were right or if we were a million miles off, as Krisho was when he was still talking about Joachim Andersen coming in from Palace, and it turned out it might actually be Mark.
Hang on.
Right club, wrong player.
It might be a double swoop. It might be a double swoop. You watched it. You watched.
Might be. Just might be indeed. Yeah. Okay. Couple of other bits then we want to talk about in terms of topical things in the Newcastle United world. We mentioned the stack there, and I don't know if anyone's seen any of the pictures, lads, but I like the look of it. You know, it looks like a good party atmosphere. You got your kind of picnic bench style. You know, you can just see. I mean, obviously everybody wants to go to a game, but like tickets are so hard to come by, as we've all learned in the last few weeks. It's great to see an area there for fans, not only just in the build up to the game or even the day before or whatever. I'm not sure in the opening hours. I'll find out, or you lads might find out and let me know.
It's 12 to 10 p.m.
Right, 10-hour shift incoming next week when I get over there to make up for missing out on the weekend. It looks class from the photos, Alan, right? I think just in terms of a fan experience, great pubs around Newcastle, right? I think we've got the most pubs around St. James's Park within like a couple of kilometres radius or something in the whole of the world, probably. But it's nice to have that area and something new and fresh.
It does look deadly. I've seen all the promo videos coming out today. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like tomorrow in the flesh. And don't worry, we'll have all the pictures for you with all the Irish mags in there. A few pints, and the food looks unreal in it. Just everything about it. It's great becoming a real football club again. It's every other team has these things. We're finally coming into the 21st century. It's just great to have a real football club again. Can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the videos that were posted in the Irish Mags group already of the lads that were over there tonight, the atmosphere is fantastic. And it is, people might think, it might be quite small when you get in there and it'll get super packed. It didn't look it. It looked like everybody had a lot of space to walk around. There's, obviously there's queues for pints and stuff, but it looked all so very relaxed. The live music sounded great. And you know yourself, Paul, and Al knows this, if there's a stage anywhere, I'm going close to it. Or I'm going to start singing. I'm going to get up there and start singing. So keep an eye out this weekend for me singing.
That's when I'm leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Show, just on behalf of the entire Irish Mags, no, not even the Irish Mags, on behalf of everyone in the city of Newcastle and beyond, can you not get us barred from the stack bar too soon? It's only
I'll try.
It's too soon. Speaking of facilities as well, I saw some things going around about the new media room. There's been improvements to some of the facilities around there. There's money being spent, lads. This is all probably what we'd call non-PSR money, right? So sometimes people get a bit antsy when they see, money being invested, whether it's the ladies team or just random parts of the club. But this doesn't need into transfer budget. This doesn't need into PSR. It is things that need to be done. We hear about Old Trafford literally falling apart. Yeah, this is great. This is top positive things to be hearing about.
Did either of you watch Eddie Howe's interview today?
Yeah.
Did you notice you could hear the questions?
Yes, and the audio.
Can you imagine?
It's again, it's great becoming a real club again. They used to pass around the mic that didn't work in the old one, and now they all have mics at the desk. It was just great. It looks unbelievable. It just looks like we're real again. Professional. Yeah, there's no more paddling pools. That's the main thing. No more paddling pools. None of that crap.
There'll be no more like bacon, did you say? Because you didn't hear the question. There'll be no more of that nonsense. Like the clips that they show of Eddie Howe talking at the press conference. It looked so good, the little snippets that they showed on Sky Sports News. It looked real top-notch. Beautiful desk. And like you said, like Al said, all the journalists have individual desks with mics. So just like Real Madrid or any other proper club. But yeah, and then Bruno coming out, and his English is exceptional. And he's part of the leadership team now. And he might even get the captaincy. And I don't know if he'd get the captaincy. I think that might be Dan Byrne if Trippier goes to West Ham. But he might be a vice-captain. Or he might be a captain on the FA Cup game. But it was great to see Bruno sitting beside Eddie. And when he said that he nearly passed away after the first training session, Eddie Howe was laughing his head off. You know what I mean? So you can see how well they get on. But the audio is exceptional in this new media room.
Yeah, and just on that topic with Bruno as well, it is one of the things we wanted to have a quick chat about. Like, there was some speculation about, who's going to be joining the leadership group, obviously, with the changes that have happened. And there was talks of Nick Pope, there was talks of even Joel Linton. I like the idea, but I think that what it would mean to Bruno, not only being in the leadership group, but captaining the side, because he's got so much passion and fire in his belly. I'd imagine he would just take so much pride in it. For, let's face it, he's a Brazilian guy who's not from around. You know what I mean? Like you can see how much the fans, the club mean to him, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. I love the idea of seeing Bruno as captain for Newcastle.
He's previous with it, right? I think Ali was captain at Leon, wasn't he? And he's been captain for Brazil under 20s and whatever.
He captained Paranese in Brazil. He captained Leon. Everywhere he's been captain. And sure, he captained us in Japan there in the second game. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in a league match with the armband on, running around like a lunatic trying to kick people.
There's hopefully not as many yellow cards.
Yeah.
Right, okay, well, we'll wrap up slowly, guys. A couple other things to shout out. We noticed that the club released a new app today as well on the day recording. Does look like it's kind of an easier to navigate version of the website, because sometimes there are issues with that website. There's a lot going on, so that's nice to see. Check that out. We also wanted to plug other friends of the Irish Mags show, which is True Faith. They have a live show the night before the Southampton game. So if anyone is hanging around on the Friday evening, I'll be there, and I will be consuming pints to make up for missing the Sella weekender. So that's sure to be a good night. I'd say check that out on the True Faith Twitter page. It looks like it's going to be a good event as well. And then finally, there's one other piece of breaking news, lads, that I want to share with you. Live, exclusive. You didn't even know this was coming. I didn't even know this was coming. Something big has happened, lads. And I feel like it's only valid if we put it on the screen as we speak. Right, we have something magical that happened. For those of you that are listening to the audio and not watching live, we have in front of us the first picture of our friend Tev of the Irish Mags holding an Irish Mags flag that has Shay Given on the front. And who's holding the other corner of it? Shay fucking Given. Yes, boys.
I love it.
It's finally happened. Love that. Great to see. Yeah, there was an event on this evening. Our friend Matty from the Magpie channel, who's been on the pod before, was also involved in it. And yeah, Tev would never miss an opportunity to stand in a photo. Oh, he's not pointing at Shay Given, which is incredibly surprising. But if there was talks of a free pint, that's why Tev has made it there. But absolutely class to see. Shay Given is obviously, look, as Irish Mags go, as Irish Newcastle fans go, Shay Given is top tier. So fair play to Tev as well.
Wonderful.
And someday, lads, we'll have Shay Given sitting here with us. Yeah, and we're going to keep doing these pods until it happens. We can't be stopped. Right, we're going to wrap through a couple of questions from the chat, guys. If anyone else has any questions about anything, shout them out. There's a question here from, don't know his first name, Mr. P. McLaughlin, or McLaughlin P, if you will. A question I'm not exactly sure on the answer of, really, but I assume it ties into the end of the transfer window. When is the deadline for the upcoming season squad declarations? Alan, you're nodding like you know.
I think it's like 3 days after the end of the transfer window. That gives you time to register all your players and all that jazz, but it's basically coincides with the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure that they name kind of players, obviously, for the first game of the season, but it's a bit more preliminary, let's say. And then if a new signing arrives, like on the 30th of August, they can be added to that squad. And even players can be chopped around if they leave and so on. So it basically lines up with the transfer window. So again, yeah, let's see. I feel like we're cutting it fine, but to be fair, it's the 8th of August as we record today. We still have more than 3 weeks. Plenty of time to get them deals done. Question here from Dave Crisho.
Yeah.
With Tonali suspended, do we think Eddie would start Longstaff over Willock in the first few games?
There's 2 answers to this, Dave.
Yes and no.
Yes. Yeah. Hey! Don't steal my thunder. Yes and no, right? Thanks, Paul. No, but look, listen. It really depends, right? If it really depends who's available to be the other two in midfield, and I mean that in the sense of whether we're kind of going to be holding back and going on counter-attack, or at home and we're going for it. I think we'll play over Longstaff, but if we're playing away at Brentford on Tuesday night, and Eddie Howe's been a bit cautious in the first half, he'll start with Longstaff. He'll go with Longstaff all day and bring Willock on to catch a tired opposition on the hop. That's a very Newcastle thing to do. Keep it tight, keep it steady, try and catch one on the hop, but then in the second half, annihilate teams when their fitness isn't the same as ours. So, yeah, there you go. But Tonali,
Alan, would you agree with
back?
Yeah.
I can just see Longstaff starting, unfortunately, and Willock being brought on. He's still not fit enough to start and finish a game for us, so bringing him on to finish a game off wouldn't be the worst shout. And Eddie absolutely adores Longstaff, so yeah, it'll be Longstaff.
I tell you what, lads, I saw Willock play in the preseason friendly. Nice to see him back on the pitch. Like, he's an extremely talented player. It's just that fitness question all day long. I would be interested to hear back from you two boys after those 2 Sella games, how much minutes Willock puts in and how he looks and how sharp he looks, because I do think that a fully fit, uninjured for 6 weeks, Joe Willock could actually be the guy to make Eddie finally kind of go, right, Longstaff isn't really the guy anymore. I think there's plenty more to come out of Joe Willock.
This is where James Bunce comes in. You know what I mean? This is where, to make sure, because Willock fell over a couple of times in Japan and it looked a bit like, he's done something to his ankle again or something, or he's hurt himself again. And he, don't get me wrong, it was roasting hot out there and he runs himself ragged. But this James Bunce guy coming in, I think he's going to get a hold. There's going to be tiers of people he needs to keep an eye on in terms of injury. Wilson's at the top of it. Then there's Willock, and then Shar for head injuries, once a game. Keep an eye on these folk and build programs in to keep them stronger. But yeah, if Willock can stay fit, honestly, you're right. I think he'll start to play him over Longstaff because he's a better player.
Something to keep an eye on, and it's a good food for thought as well, right? Because we still have, like, we sold Elliot Anderson, but we still have big midfield options. Louis Miley has to come back at some point, right, and build himself up. But you'd like to think that he could see some minutes as well once he's back. Okay, here's a question from the Clon lad, Alan. Who will your surprise player of the season be? And he's going with Lewis Hall.
I think I'm going to have to agree with him, but it's not going to be a surprise. We've seen Lewis Hall at the end of last season just shine, and he's going to continue to do it. He's going to be a massive player for us this season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. Hopefully Barnes too. I'd love to see him surprise everyone by actually coming back to the form that he had at Leicester, because there's obviously talent there, let's be honest about it. Just needs to get a good couple of games into him.
Yeah.
Krisho?
Tino. Yeah, I was going to go Barnes as well, but I mean also Tino. I think Tino's going to start to really shine this year, and people are going to go, wait a minute, those guys have got the best right back in the league. I think everyone at the club knows it. I think we all know it. This guy gets the run of the games. He's going to be mint right back. So Tino.
Nice. I was thinking Barnes, and even as we mentioned, Willock. I'm going to throw out a wild one, lads. I think Krisho's been well behaved, Alan, so I'm going to throw out a Krisho-style wild one. I'm going to throw it out there that Wilson comes back and actually maintains some fitness and scores like a lot of important goals. That's what my surprise would be. And we'd all be surprised.
I'd love it to happen. I would absolutely love it to happen. As Kevin Keegan once said, I'd love it. But that's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Yeah.
Davey's shouting out for Lloyd Kelly here. I'm interested to see what Lloyd Kelly is in Eddie Howe's eyes. Is Lloyd Kelly a centre-back? Or is he a left-back? Is he a rotator? I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what comes in there. Right, that's nearly all the questions. I can see P. McLaughlin shouting out that we should try and get in for Matt O'Reilly. Unbelievable numbers at Celtic last season. And as we stand, still there. Again, it's another centre midfielder. Do we need that? You could argue it shouldn't be the priority, hopefully. So, yeah, time will tell. Lads, I think that's probably the right time to wrap up what is actually episode 36. That's right, folks. We are 36 episodes deep in the Irish Mags Show podcast. And, of course, our live show, we can bring it to an end. Thank you to everyone who's been listening, who's been subscribing, who's been asking questions, dropping in comments, guys. All of you that are heading off to the Sella weekend, as jealous as I am, I hope you have an absolutely unbelievable weekend. Take those photos, get them in the WhatsApp group. We're going to get them up on the website, get them up on our socials. We love to see all the Irish Mags.
Meet us in the stack. You can't miss me. I'd never without a hat. Al always has his stylish hair sided. He'll have some retro top on, I assume. But come up, stay high. If anyone's never met us or you're not even part of the Irish Mags yet and you're listening, come on over and hang out. Have a right crack almighty. And I promise not to drag us on stage.
You won't miss us, lads. There'll be Irish Mags gear and merch and hats and jackets and tops and everything all over
flags.
The place.
Yeah.
As well as all the pints in between. I know, look, it looks set to be a hell of a weekend. So everybody enjoy it. Of course, safe travels and make the most of it because there's an absolute gang of us traveling. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Keep an eye on our website, theirishmags.com, for all important updates. Check out the information in relation to the discount cards. We're going to have some information coming next week about upcoming meetups as we return to Premier League football. Yeah. Yes, remember those meetups, lads? Remember those? It's been a while.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to the next ones of those. And we're going to be seeing more and more of them around the country. So can't wait for that. We'll be back for more Irish Madness next week. So until then, how are the lads? Slán, Guffol. And of course, we should see you all very soon. Say goodbye, lads.
Slán lads.
Slán Awalia. Good luck.
Enjoy the weekender. And we're coming back for Premier League football very, very soon. We'll see you all next week with a very special guest on for our Premier League preview show.